Today, I'm going to show you how to clean up your act. Quite a few people write to me asking what mic should I get. And to be honest, there's no one answer. I wouldn't say get that mic and that's the one that everyone should get. There's no such answer as that. I choose my mic according to what I'm going to be doing and my surroundings. For instance, if you're going to go out with a large diaphragm condenser, would you really want to take that out with you on a trip with your camera where the microphone is virtually the size of the camera anyway? Would you do that? I don't think so. And also, where are you going to put it? So your mic choice is dependent on a number of factors. First of all, are you going to be static or are you going to be moving around? Secondly, how many people do you want to record? Number 3, are you going to be able to prepare the shots or are you going to be moving about on the go? Number 4, what kind of ambience noise level are you going to get? Are you going to need a cardioid, a supercardioid? Are you going to need a shotgun to really cut everything away? One of the most difficult situations for a mic really is the one I'm in now, a quiet environment. First of all, if you're in a quiet environment, you're much more easily going to hear the sound that the mic makes itself. And these microphones, all of them, they make some kind of noise. So in this situation, you're really going to want a microphone that's very low in self-noise. You really do. That can come out quite costly. As the one I'm using now, it's not a cheap microphone. That's the first thing. The other thing you have to consider is how the mic rejects sound around it in this kind of situation, because in here there's room reverb going on. There's also a fan going on, which is the sound of my light. It's got a fan whizzing around. So you've got to try and cut those sounds out as well. So you've got to point the deaf end of the microphone at the sound sources, while hoping it won't pick up the room reverb, while hoping it's not so quiet that you can actually hear the noise of the mic itself. So this, in a quiet room like this, is quite a difficult situation to get a really, really clean sound. Then of course, if you really do want to get a clean sound, you've got to change the signal to noise ratio yourself. Now basically, if this is the noise and this is the signal, now if you record with the mic too far away, the signal is low, the noise doesn't change, but the signal is going down because you're further away from the microphone. So in post, if you boost this, they both get boosted, the noise and the signal, so they both move up like that, and therefore when you stop speaking, you're left with a noise floor that's quite high. So what you want is a noise floor, put it back, but you want a noise floor, and then you want the gain as much as possible on the top. That means you have to boost the gain less, which means this gets boosted less, which means, okay, open up a bit, and the noise floor stays low. Now with cameras where you're moving around, like a camcorder, this is a Sony CX camcorder, or if you just want to move around with say a Sony ZV-1 or something like that, then you're moving from one environment to another, different types of noise levels. So if you're going into noisy environments, and believe you me, outside it's probably a lot more noisy than you would imagine, just the sound of leaves or whatever going past, that's going to knock the noise level of the microphone on the head, to be honest, unless it's really hissing so loudly that it's ridiculous. So you don't have to consider too much the self noise of the microphone if you're wandering around, which is why we can often get away with these really cheap budgety things of like 20, 30, 40 quid, because these microphones, they might not be the quietest, but they sound okay, and the ambient noise just knocks the self noise on the head. That's fine. So first of all, if you're going to go mobile with something like a Sony CX or your ZV-1, your portable camera, get a microphone. Don't go mad. You don't have to spend too much money if you're running around outside on a microphone that's got really, really low self-noise, because that's going to cost a lot of money to get that. You can get something a little bit cheaper and not worry so much about it. And then when you're indoors, if there are any short situations where you don't do too much indoors, then I wouldn't worry too much about that, or use a bit of post to get rid of a little bit of hiss. So if you're moving around, you can get away with a cheaper mic because the ambient noise levels are going to be much higher. Secondly, if you want low noise going directly into your camera, you want a microphone with a very high output. Personally, when I go out with a camera, I like to use a powered microphone, because very often with a powered microphone, you can boost the audio levels by 10 or 20 dB. That's fantastic because you're using the preamp that is inside the microphone rather than the preamp that's inside here. These preamps tend to be a little bit more noisy than other preamps. Although, having said that, the Sony CX preamps are actually pretty good, especially when you get them down low. You're barely aware of them ever, really. If you've got a microphone that hasn't got a powered output and you need something with a lot of push to get into your camera, you find that you need something, then sometimes it's better to just take a little mini preamp and put it on top of the camera. It's not as convenient, if I'm honest, to do that. So it's far better to get a microphone with a big output in the first place. Now, what I'm going to show you here works for all cameras. It's not just the Sony CX or whatever. It works for all cameras. When you're setting your audio up in your camera, you've got to find, first of all, where the audio selection is. Now, on the Sonys, it's menu, and then you go to camera mic, there you are, and then you get this sort of menu going on. And now I've got to look, and I've got to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good God, that's a lot, isn't it? 8, no, still not there. 9, audio record level. I've now got to audio record level. Now, depending on what microphone you're using, it's going to be in a different place. Go to audio record, and you'll see mine is actually set on auto. So I'm going to change that straight away. Click on it, and I've got the choice of auto or manual. So obviously the other choice is manual, and you'll see now there's a yellow dot and it's to the right hand side of the bar. That means it's set very, very high, makes it very sensitive. You don't want it up there. What you want is a microphone with a massive output, a nice big output, and you want that volume down as low as possible. Now what I do is I go right to the very bottom. So there we are. I'm right at the very bottom now. The little yellow dot is right to the left hand side, and then I just go up by a little fraction. Press plus, and now I'm just up by a tiny little fraction. Once you've got it up by a tiny little fraction, I found with this camera, if I'm using a microphone with +20, that's pretty loud. And last of all, before I go, because I'm talking a lot in this video, you really do need to learn how to use an audio editor. It's absolutely crucial. It's not the best thing to come home with the audio on the camera and say, that's what I got, and leave it at that. It's not always the best. And it's a good idea to really, really play around with your audio or with some audio on your audio editor at home, so you get used to what you can do to get rid of noise and all the tricks and things that you do. My basic treatment of any audio, I might as well tell you what it is before I go, is first of all, I will boost the audio to something like -6 to -3, somewhere around there. So everything gets boosted. And the reason is then I can see the wave level a lot easier sometimes, especially when it's quiet. When I've done that, I'll go through and look for the clicks and the pops and the peeps and whatever, all those big massive things, and I'll use a limiter to cut those things off, just cut them off, and then I'll reboost it, and I'll get it to roughly about -6. Then I might use a little bit of audio compression, about 2 to 1, not too much. If you use too much audio compression, it can get very noisy in the quieter places. It brings up the noise floor. So sometimes I don't even use it at all, if I'm honest. Don't always need it. For instance, in this situation, you don't need a massive load of compression to be going on, because it's only me speaking, so there's nothing much to worry about. But if I'm outdoors, noise can vary from cars going by, bibs of horns and all sorts of things. So compression can be a little bit more important. So then I'll boost it. Sometimes I'll boost just sections and not all of it. And then finally, when I've done all that and I've looked at the audio and I've made it all look fairly even throughout, so that it looks fairly even, then I'll use the last type of normalization, where I normalize it with using a LUF measurement, and I get it to about -21 to -19 dB, -18 dB, something like that. If it's for YouTube, I might go to as far as -18, and there. But if it's normal for TV, I might go to -21. And what that does, it doesn't just boost the audio, but it looks at all of the audio and it gives you an average level. The average level, of course, is going to be -21. When you just boost it, it just boosts the top one till it hits the top. That's all it does. But when you use a LUF type measurement, it takes an average, so all of your audio becomes a bit more even. But the last thing I really need to say is really learn an audio package well, and just practice. Just get rough audio, record nasty audio on purpose, and just see if you can clean it up. And if you can, then you're ready for those situations where you have to do it. And that's the thing that really can rescue your video. Okay, hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.